Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second day of the Reckoning book tour. And I'm going to give it a second, make sure that this thing is working. I'm wearing my lovely bunny ears today because Easter is this weekend. And yeah, so Easter is this weekend. I am excited. Today we are going to be talking about The Reckoning, and I will just start off with, if you don't already know, my name is Kayla Canoe. I am an adult dark fantasy author, as well as a YouTuber, an aerialist, and a gamer. I do all kinds of things, but we are here about my writing, specifically The Reckoning, which you can see it right here beside me on my dog's kennel cage. I have some proof copies of my book. If you guys didn't see last week's video, well, it wasn't last week. If you didn't see day one of the book tour, it's in the playlist that is linked below, so you can check that out. I give more details about The Reckoning as far as like reading the blurb and answering a bunch of questions about both the book and my writing. So if you guys are interested in that, check that out. I am not going to read the blurb again because I don't want to keep reading the same thing over and over again to you guys so that you're not seeing the same thing over and over. But yeah, so the book is available for pre-order on ebooks right now. That is also linked below. And if you guys haven't already, subscribe to my newsletter because that way you will not miss any of my updates or my book release announcements. I know last time I mentioned that I was wanting to do a physical copy pre-order for hardbacks because I'm doing hardback books via Ingram Sparks. And I went in today to set it up because I finally got the final interior to be able to do that, because if you guys don't know, Ingram Sparks costs money to upload to, so I didn't want to upload a non-final version because I didn't want to keep spending money to edit that. Anyway, so I got the final version. I went to upload it. Turns out there are two cover files that I need. One being the actual wrap of the book, like the dust jacket that comes off the hardback book, and the other one being I need a file for the actual hardback, like because they print on it. So yeah, and I don't have that one. I just have the cover wrap, so I had to reach out to my cover designer to see if I can get that other one. Yeah. So the hardback pre-order might not happen before the release date, but there will be hardbacks. We'll see how quickly I can get that out. Like I said, if you want to know about it as soon as it goes live, subscribe to my newsletter because I will be sending out emails as soon as that goes live if I can get it in before the book releases in 14 days. Guys, 14 days. It's insane. I can't believe it's already here. Anyway, so last time we also revealed the character art. So if you guys didn't see that, seriously, go check it out. The artwork was done by CS Designs. A good friend of mine did them, and they're beautiful and they're gorgeous. And today we are going to be talking all about magic and a little bit about religion as well, because I feel like as a fantasy book, one of the most important elements is going to be the magic system. And one of the most interesting things is going to be the magic system. So I was like, hey, you know what? I feel like since I don't really have any specific questions from anyone, and if you have questions that you're dying to have answered, feel free to drop them in the chat. I will answer your questions. But since we don't have a list of questions today, I thought, who doesn't want to hear about the magic of Altera? And I also have the magic symbols that I will be pulling up on screen for you guys to be able to see. Now, interesting story about these magic symbols. I actually created them, as in me with my crappy drawing skills drew them on a piece of paper and like made them what I wanted them to be. And then I took pictures of that and sent that to my artist friend and was like, hey, can you make these digital and like not as crappy looking? So she did also make these digitally for me, though the concept is actually originates from me drawing the concept. So I drew them, she made them digital for me, and made them look nice. So I'm excited to share those with you guys today. Yeah. Anyway, so as you can tell, I really like magic. And maybe if we have time, I might get into some of the races as well, but we'll see how it goes. I am gonna go ahead and pull up our first magic symbol. So maybe I should preface this with, in general, magic for the world of Altera is going to be something that is innate, or something that the people are born with, or the beings are born with. So magic is kind of like passed down in a genetic sense. And so people are genetically gifted with magic, and depending on how pure the bloodline is, depends on how strong or how great their affinity is for that magic. And affinity is just kind of the generic term that in this context is being used as having a special connection to one of the magic types, or potentially multiples. So for example, someone might say, oh, she has an affinity for earth and air, which means she can use earth and air magic. But yeah, so that is kind of the main magic type. Now there are some like enchanted items, like things can be enchanted with magic from the beings into objects, which then other people can use, or beings that don't have magic could potentially use. And there is some verbal, semantic, ritualistic styles of magic in the world as well. But our large ticket item is going to be that innate magic, and that is what we are mostly talking about today, is those innate magics. And because I didn't already say it, welcome Blue, we're happy to have you always, and also welcome Kitty, thank you for joining us. We are talking about magic. And oh no, I'm sorry for your emergency truck problems that I see. But yeah, so I'm going to pull these up for you guys. Let's see. I feel like this is big enough. So our first magic type that we're going to talk about is earth magic. So this is the symbol for earth magic. I will preference. Hey, you know what, guys? Preface. I think it's preface. English is not my first language by any means, but it really is. I'm just bad. I love The Fifth Element. The Fifth Element is literally my favorite movie of all time. Bruce Willis and The Color Orange and Mila Jovovich, like, all of it. Nailed it. Perfect for me. But also the stones and the magic symbols on the stones. So I've seen all these tattoos of the Fifth Element where people have like the lines of like the stones tattooed in like this little foursquare, and it's gorgeous. And I was like, that is what I want. I want my magic symbols to be simple yet like recognizable, and something that will look beautiful in a 4-stack tattoo. Not that I will ever get that, but maybe one day someone will. So that is kind of my inspiration for my magic symbols that I created. So earth magic. Earth magic is basically the ability to move the earth, or be one with the earth, or commune with the earth. There is a lot of variety in that sense. So depending on how great one's affinity is, depends on like how much earth they can move, how well they can move the earth, how they can manipulate it, and change it. And to that extent, there is actually a character in The Reckoning who has such an affinity for earth that she can manipulate metal, or the metal ores in the earth, to draw them to her and form them and use metal as a weapon, basically. So she can kind of bend metal at will because she has a very strong affinity for earth. And then we have another character in the book who is Daniel, which I did tell you guys about him last week, who actually can pull things through the earth. So plants with medicinal properties, even if they're not with him, he can pull those properties through the earth and change the earth in his hands to that medicinal properties. And he uses this in the context to heal someone. Now, while we're at it, magic is not limitless in the sense that they can just continually do it. Depending on how much or how strenuous the activity is, it does put a drain on them, and it will actually like make their body need to recover. So think about like if you worked out excessively and you lifted a bunch of heavy weights, your body's going to get tired and it's going to need to recover before you can then exert that force again. And so that is kind of the bounds of magic. It is an extension of who they are. It's an innate ability. But over time, the more you use it, you can build up your endurance for magic usage, as well as if you're a little bit more gifted, you can use it in greater quantities without getting as exhausted. But yes, so earth magic. What does it feel like? Because what it feels like is the best part. So when someone is using earth magic or feeling it within them, it kind of feels like there's a heavy weight being placed on their body, like it's like squishing them, like their veins are feeling the strain of something constricting them, like it's squeezing them as it flows through them, because the earth is heavy and that's just what it does. Yeah, the earth is heavy, it squeezes you, it constricts you. And there is such a thing as dying from your magic. So if they lose concentration and don't know what the hell they're doing, they can actually injure themselves with their own magic. It can damage the body. Yes. Anyway, I'm going to look at these comments because I see that there's a bunch of them. An analogy to balancing magic. Yay! I am giving an analogy to balancing magic. And I don't know how much, it's not like super explained in that way in the actual book, but the book does reference them like needing to recharge or regenerate or whatever. But yeah, my analogy, exercise, it is what it is. Okay. So that is earth magic. And honestly, while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and mention the races, because the races were created through magic in the sense that magic was gifted to the world through the gods, and it caused the body of the original humans to basically become disfigured, and then evolution happened. So for earth magic, the kind of pure-blooded earth magic users are the Talaks, and they are a warrior race, which you guys, I did have that picture of Daniel last week. You can check it out. They are a warrior race. They have green-colored skin. They're generally a little bit larger than most humans. They are extremely muscular. They have tusks that can grow in all kinds of different directions from their face. They can have various numbers of these. And for them, the only thing they really care about is strength and brutality. So in order to kind of like gain favor or gain rank in these Talak tribes, it's the more physically strong you are and the more violent or brutal you are in the way that you interact with others, or just with society in general. Like, they don't take no crap and they will beat you to take what they want. That is kind of what they idealize in their tribal community. So like their tribal leader is going to be the biggest, the strongest, and the most brutal of them all. And yeah, so that is earth magic, that is Talaks. And yeah, I love them and I'm excited. Anyway, we will move on to the next type of magic. If I can find it on my computer. There it is. All right. So here is air magic. Yes, because we all love air magic. And it's got the 3 swirls like wind, and they are perfectly shaped. Air magic. So air magic, also like earth magic, everything is innate. People just naturally have this. Kind of, what does it feel like? Okay, we'll go with what it feels like. Air magic, it kind of feels like your skin is being tickled, or maybe even like something is crawling under your skin. It's kind of like, you know, when you're outside and there's like a strong breeze and it's just like ripping across your face, you just like feel it like moving. That is what it feels like when the beings are using air magic. It's like they have something flowing across them, like crawling across them, tickling across them, as they are utilizing their air magic. And just like earth magic, air magic is an affinity for the air, which has also varying degrees of what that can mean. That could just mean being able to manipulate air. That could be creating huge tornadoes and storms, and kind of manipulating storms in general, because clouds are in the sky and you can just roll in whatever you want to roll in depending on how powerful you are. It also includes abilities to fly, and communicate with, I want to say birds, but they're not all necessarily birds. We'll say creatures of flight. Being able to communicate with magical creatures of flight can also be included in that kind of realm of things. So that is air magic, air manipulation. Which now, if you guys really think about it, the way that magic is used, it does have a little bit of inspiration from like Avatar, The Last Airbender, because I watched that stuff and I like that kind of like bending things style of magic. So there are aspects of that, although quite different, I would say. Everyone has energy, and a lot of times, depending on how strong their magic is, you can actually see that energy aura around them as they are using it. So another fun fact about magic in this world. As for air, none of the specific air magic races are referred to in the first book, but they do exist. There are, I don't even know if I should go into it because it's not in the first book. Maybe I should save it. But there are pure-blooded races associated with air magic. Quite a few, actually. And they are all very exciting, and you'll have to learn about them more in book 2, because today we're talking about the Reckoning, and they're not in it, but they exist. Moving on, we are going to continue. Fire magic, because they're like little magic fire flames. I don't know if you guys have noticed this like 3-line system yet in the magic symbols, but you know, there were 3 lines for earth, there were 3 swirls for wind, and there's 3 lines for fire. You get it. It's a thing. Anyway, so fire magic, as you might guess, is the ability to control, manipulate, and create fire. As in, they can create fire out of nothing, they can move fire, they can change fire, depending on their degrees of affinity, can change greatly how much fire they can harness. And yeah, fire magic, it is all consuming. It feels like a burning tingle, or a white hot sensation as it flows through you. So it's almost like you can feel your veins like on fire or being consumed as you are utilizing or controlling this magic or creating it from within yourself. You can feel it flow out like the inferno that it is. So it is a very warm or hot sensation when you are using a fire magic, at least in the context of Altera. That is how it rolls. Also, there are specific races that have pure-blooded fire magic users, but they are also not mentioned in the Reckoning, because the Reckoning is an introduction to an entire series, and if I threw all of that at you at once, it would be Very confusing. But they do exist, and I'm thinking maybe for the next book we'll go into those a little bit more. But we're going to move on to our next type of magic, water magic. Like, you know, flowing water, and it also is 3 lines, guys. If you didn't catch this, all of my magic symbols are 3 lines. And I hope you love them. At least for the elemental magic, because there are some other magics that are a little bit different, and we're going to get into those next. Anyway, as I get distracted. Water magic, obviously, is the ability to create, manipulate, and change water, just like all the other ones. And this bad boy, depending on affinity and things like that, it's going to feel like icy needles under your skin. Like you're gonna feel that prickle of ice as it like flows through you, like it's freezing your veins. Or it might just be really cold, like cold water running through your veins. Again, depends on affinity. And we do have a character in the Reckoning who is using water magic, and his name is Nodden. He is Tyler's hometown friend, and so early in the book, you see that she can feel him starting to use his water magic around her because he has an aura, and like when your magical aura touches someone else, they can like feel it, and it does not feel great if you're not used to feeling it. So when you feel that cold prickle of ice in the air, it's probably because someone's using water magic around you or on you, and it's only going to get worse from there. But yeah, and again, there are pure-blooded water magic users that have not been referenced in the first book, but they do exist, and we'll go into those guys a little bit more later. And I do realize now that for the fire magic, I forgot to mention that we have some fire magic users in the first book, which includes Kai and Harrison, which are 2 of the main characters. They both have an affinity for fire, if you guys were wondering. But yes, that is water magic. I really like water magic. I don't know. It's exciting. I like all magic. So those are kind of the 4 main elemental magics: earth, air, fire, and water. Moving on, we're going to get into the next next 3 types of magic. I kind of include them as being elemental magics, but they are different in the sense of where they come from. So the elemental magic comes from elements of the world, and the next few magics are different types of magic, but they don't come from elements of the world. So we have dark magic, which you see a lot of dark magic in the Reckoning because our main character, Malachi Darkblood, uses dark magic because he's a Darkblood prince, and he is a pure-blooded magic user, or a pure-blooded dark magic user, which are the Deirdre, which are demonic beings of demonic heritage. So the Deirdre are the first to have touched dark magic, which dark magic comes from the Moonstone, which was sent to Altera from Hecate, which is one of their goddesses. So basically the first family to find this Moonstone was corrupted entirely by it and became demonic in nature and have basically unlimited access to dark magic. And dark magic, as you might guess, kind of comes about in the way of dark energy. So it is black in nature, black dark tendrils floating around you. It is an energy that you can utilize in whatever way your little heart can desire, in that sense. So whereas elemental magics are constricted to the element, dark magic is an energy. So it's not specifically an element. You can use energy and channel it in whatever way you want to. And dark magic, being dark in nature, is feeding upon dark emotions. So things like anger and hatred and disgust and maybe even lust. Like it's going to feed off of those types of emotions. So dark magic is one of those things where if you get really angry, your dark magic can get out of hand because your anger will trigger the expression of that magic, because the magic is wholly coming from within you. And yeah, and dark magic is also something that can be gifted to you from one of the Deirdre. So the Deirdre have the connection to the Moonstone, and if they have someone that they favor, they can actually gift other people access to that dark magic. It's almost like tainting them with it. It's like, you are now tainted with my magic. Have fun with that. But that is some of what you see. You see some of the magic tainting in the Reckoning, and you do see quite a bit of the dark magic as well as the Moonstone, because again, the main character is the Dark Blood Prince, and that is what he is struggling with, his dark magic and his demonic heritage and the constant changing of his body via the corruption of magic. I love Malachi. I really do. Anyway, so that is dark magic. Oh, what does it feel like? Duh, I can't believe I almost forgot. Dark magic basically feels like a jolt of electricity going through your body. So it feels like almost like lightning is exploding from your veins, depending on how much of it you are using. It's very chaotic in nature. Even when you are controlling it, it's kind of like that energy is just like electrifying everything around it. But yeah, that is what dark magic feels like in my world. Next, we have the counterpart to dark magic, which is light magic. I know, I'm so good at naming. Which is depicted by the sun. So you'll notice that these magic symbols are different than the elemental magics. We had the crescent moon because it was created by the moonstone, and now we have the sun because light magic comes from the sunstone, which was gifted by Apollo, who is the sun god, and Hecate is the moon goddess, and yes, there are references there. Have fun with that. I like to pull names from random places all the time. But yeah, so light magic is quite literally the opposite of dark magic in the sense that they balance each other. Dark magic feeds on the negative, light magic feeds on the positive, love, hope, kindness. And it feels more like a warm, soothing flow through the veins. It's like, whereas dark magic is chaotic and explosive, light magic is calm and soothing and very, very controlled in that sense. So, you know, the opposite of chaotic is controlled. But yeah, and light magic, actually, in the Reckoning, is extinct. So there is no light magic. There is reference to light magic, and there is reference to the death of light magic, as in the King's War took place, in which the Dark Blood King waged a war to kill the entire light blood family line, which, as a result of killing all of the members of the family, severed the world's access to light magic and caused the Sunstone to go dormant. Which is why we are where we are now in the Reckoning, in a dystopian version of Alterra, because the world is out of balance and the land is slowly dying because light magic no longer exists. Yeah, talk about like unforeseen consequences of killing your enemy. Dooming the world to destruction. I mentioned this was a dark fantasy, right? Anyway, so that is what light magic is. And yeah. Next, we have spiritual magic. So the concept of my spiritual magic comes kind of a little bit from like the all-seeing eye, and like I just wanted it to be very like psychic looking in nature. And so it's like swirly eye-ish shape. And I love it, by the way. I absolutely love this one. Spiritual magic is also kind of different from all of the other types of magic, in the sense that spiritual magic is kind of like magic of the soul, like people being alive in itself is almost a part of spiritual magic. So spiritual magic was gifted to the world by Sybil, who is... This is my cat trying to make out me. I'm sorry. Sybil is the goddess of spirit. She is, the goddess of life and death. And what else? Did I forget something? She is the goddess of spirit, creator of life and giver of spiritual magics. That is who Sybil is. And yes, I did just read that off my wall. If you guys noticed, my entire wall has like definitions of my world building all over it. But yeah, so spiritual magic is something that you can be born with. It can also be something that you develop. So some people, almost like the real world, some people have a better connection to the spiritual. But at the same time, most people can find a way to access that spiritualness. And so there are all types of different ways in which spiritual magic is expressed. There are different types of what they call are seers, which seers is kind of the generic term for someone with spiritual magic, so someone who's actually using their spiritual magic. And some examples of those are oracles, psychics, readers, kini, and empaths. So we're going to take a moment to talk about empaths because in The Reckoning, one of our main characters, Daniel, is actually an empath, which basically means he has the ability to control and manipulate not only his own emotions, but other people's emotions as well. He can also sense people's emotions. So to an extent, he can almost understand what someone is thinking purely by being able to sense how they are feeling. And he can kind of use that into his own advantage. Another part of him being an empath is that he can feed off of emotional energy. So like he can feed off of another person's emotional energy to give himself more strength. And he can draw on that. And what else do we got there? There's all kinds of different things that go into the different spiritual magics as far as being able to read someone's mind and move things with your mind and being able to gain knowledge through various means depending on the person's ability. And then there are some other obscure magics that fall into that category, including the succubus or a succubus, which we have one in The Reckoning, so I'm going to mention it. So Jade is a succubus, and basically a succubus is similar to an empath, except that she specifically feeds off of and manipulates sexual energy versus all emotions. It's specifically sexual energy. And so like she has this aura about her that draws people to her, and it's kind of like almost like a mind control where it's like if they look her in the eyes, they become drawn to her and they're so into her that like they're willing to do whatever she wants or says. So it is a little bit of a mind control via sexual energy for the succubus. And what else do we see? I don't think we see any other specialties yet, but there are some other specialties for spirit magic. But yeah, I love spirit magic because I just feel like the options are kind of limitless in that sense of what spiritual magic is and can be. And like even in the world, like the full depth of how far someone could take it isn't completely known. So yes, that is spiritual magic. Next, I believe we have the religion symbol. So this is the religious symbol. And as you can see, it is a combination of dark magic, light magic, and spiritual magic, because those three types of magic are specifically relating to their three gods, Apollo, Hecate, and Sybil. And so the main religion in Altera is called Sikaloism, and it is the combined belief in the three gods, as well as the belief in the 4 shamans. So the 4 shaman are actually the first 4 beings to be gifted with the 4 different elemental magics. And so the world's belief of Sikaloism is that we believe in the gods, the 3 gods, who then blessed us, who blessed the shaman. Really, it was more like a curse, who cursed the shaman with magic. And then from those shaman spawned what is the now day and age ability to use magic via evolution and all of that fun stuff. But yeah, so that is what Sikaloism is. And so the people of Altera worship their gods and their shamans and thank them for their ability to have and use magic, and that they ask for their blessings to continue to be able to use magic, as well as to continue to have that strength or for general health and things like that. So it is a thing that they do. If they use a lot of magic, they'll go and they'll pray and they'll thank their gods. And we have a few characters that are extremely religious, which I think I did mention this last week. Daniel is extremely religious. When he goes to the shrine, he doesn't speak in there. He's only there communing with his gods. He will not speak to other people in the room. He is very, very uppity about worshiping his gods and the shaman. But yeah, so that is my magic symbol, which is like all over my book, and I love it. I love these symbols. They are in my book, like in the interior design of the book. And yeah, I hope you guys love them too. I wonder if there's anything that I'm forgetting. I should probably check the comments. Wondering if there's anything that I'm forgetting in regards to the religion. Like there's a lot there. I could go into the 4 shamans, so I can give them names. We have Gaia, who was the first to be blessed with earth magic. We have Ilmatar. I can't even pronounce my own names. Anyway, he was the first to be blessed with air magic. We have Vulcan, who was the first to be blessed with fire magic, and Nerine, who was the first to be blessed with water magic. And so those are kind of the 4 shamans. They are like the pillars of magic. They prayed and their prayers were answered, kind of thing. But yeah, so those are the 4 shamans. And I'm looking at my wall to see if there's any other like religions or things that are in the first book that I forgot to mention, and I think I covered all of the religion. And so next I have, let's see, it is a combined little everything together. So this is kind of like how the symbols present in a general sense of earth is to the north, air is to the east, fire is to the south, and water is to the west. And then in the middle of this, we just have our religious symbol, which includes the light, dark, and spiritual magic. But yeah, and I think this is in the actual book. It is in the actual book. Boom, here it is in the book. Here they are. Sneak peek at the first spread. They are in the book. Just like that. And they're gorgeous. Any questions? Is there anything that I was like, is there anything I forgot to mention? And I was like, you know what? I did talk about that. I did talk about how magic felt. Any questions in regards to like the magic or the religion? I think there are a few races that we see that I have not mentioned yet in the first book. So we have the Deirdre, which are the of demonic origin. We have the Talaks, which are the pure-blooded earth magic users. We have Anai, which Anai is actually the generic term for pure-blooded magic user. So they are the Anai in general. They could be a mix of different types of pure-blooded magic user, whereas like each element has its own name for a pure-blooded magic user, but they could be mixed pure-blooded magic users and still be referred to as Anai. The Asuds are going to be the mixed-blooded magic users. So an Asud could have been created from the combination of a human and an Anai. And then boom, an Asud was born because one parent was pure-blooded magic and the other parent was not. And so that is what the Asuds are. So in general, Asuds would have a lesser affinity for that type of magic than a pure-blooded user of that type of magic. We also have humans, obviously, which are generally magicless, though they can have some magical abilities or some affinities. So you might see a lot of spiritual magic among humans, but for the most part, they are magicless. Because they are basically what everyone was before magic corrupted them, which is kind of great to think about. And I think that is it. I have like a whole list of races on the wall, but I think those are the only ones that are really mentioned in the book. The succubus is mentioned, and I know it can be confusing as to whether that's just a magic type or a race. And she is actually, it's a magic, so she's actually a human succubus, though they will commonly refer to her as a succubus versus as a human, because being a succubus is such a strong affinity that it kind of changes you a little bit. But yeah, that is my magic, my religion, and a little bit about the races for the reckoning. And I hope you guys enjoy that. I hope it's some supplemental information, because, you know, as a writer, you don't want to like just word vomit it into the book, because no one wants to read a bunch of backstory. I'm just saying. I mean, maybe, but like info dumping. We don't want to info dump. We want it to like go in naturally. But you know, there's lots of things you got to think about when you're writing fantasy, and like so much goes into it, guys. So much goes into it. So I do have one more thing. I have an announcement, I guess. So I have an important announcement picture thing that I'm going to show you guys. And it is about the hashtag TR challenge, which is the Reckoning's Instagram challenge. So if you guys are on Instagram, have fun with this. The challenge starts tomorrow. So the challenge is for the month of April. So it runs from April 1st all the way to April 30th. And on this image here, we have the prompts for each day. And basically, you know, just pick a picture that fits with the prompt and post it. And it's supposed to just be a lot of fun. Some of these are character names, followed by like a little bit about who they are. So like day 1 is Kai, the Cold Prince. So you can share whatever picture makes you think of a Cold Prince or Kai or whatever. So, and the same goes for most of the other days. So we have different characters in there. We have release day, in which you can just get excited about and talk about the release of The Reckoning if you want to help support me and get the knowledge out there. And then the 15th is hashtag TBR, which is what's on your to be read list. And then the second half of the month continues into some other characters, as well as some of the races are on there, the ones that I mentioned. The gods are on there, the shaman are on there, and then the calling and the reckoning, which are the 2 events that happen during the book, are also on there. So I am extremely excited to see what people come up with for these, what people post for these. I will also be posting these for people to see, and I'm really excited. I'll probably post some of that character art on my Instagram finally, and it's gonna be a good time. I'm honestly thinking that I should like do some giveaways for participation, which I think I can do that. I think I can give away some ebooks for participation in this. I feel like I should do that. I'll probably have to make an announcement if I decide to do that. But yeah, show up, post some photos, have lots of fun. I'm really excited about this, guys. It is so close to release day, like 14 days away. And the week of release, I believe I'm doing some live readings for my next events where I will actually be reading the chapters in the book. I'm going to do one chapter each day, so the first 7 chapters of the book will be read aloud by me. So if you're here for that, or is it the first 6? It might be the first 6. I don't know. I don't know if I can read chapter 7 online now that I think about it. We'll see. Might have to like mature audience chapter 17. We'll see. Or chapter 7, not chapter 17. But yeah, so that's what's going on. I'm really excited, guys. I can't believe that it is so close. It's so close. And anybody have any questions for me? Because I think that's it. I think that's all I have for today, for right now. But yeah, that's what I got, guys. I love magic, and I love magic symbols, and I love magic races, and I love magic creatures, and oh god, I'm so excited. Right now, I'm like in the middle of rewriting book 2, guys. So, yeah, I guess I could talk about that in case you guys are interested. My plan is to rapid release the next 3 books in the series because there's 1 book from each character's perspective, because in The Reckoning, there are 3 perspectives that you read from: Kai, Harrison, and Tyler. And they're all together going through this thing. And then for the next part of the series, the 3 of them are kind of going their own ways and exploring different parts of the world and like figuring some things out before coming back together for the last couple books in the series. So my goal is to rapid release the next 3 books because there is 1 from each perspective and they are happening at the same time. So that's going to happen. I'm like writing those 3 books this year, and then hopefully next year, going into the year after, they will be rapid released. And I'm excited for it. I hope you guys are excited for it too. I am like on a mission to get this series done and published so that I can move along to some other things that I have planned, including Project Infinity, which, if you guys don't know about Project Infinity, it is a passion project of mine. It is currently free to read over on Tapas, which it will always be free to read over on Tapas because it is published on Tapas. But one day I'm going to take all of that Tapas content and actually turn it into a book or multiple books, depending on where that goes, because I have not planned it at all. I just write every week for fun. But yeah, Project Infinity is linked down below if you are interested in seeing my writing style, because you might be interested in that before checking out my book. So it is down below, free to read. You can check it out. I think that is all I have for today. Our next live stream is our next live stream for the book tour, I should say specifically, is going to be next Friday. So it's going to be April 9th at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come join me then. I will be reading chapter 1, and I'm over here like deciding if I should try to read the different perspectives and like different voices, and I don't know if I have the skill for that, but I feel like it might be amusing to try. So that might be happening when I read these books. And yeah, that's probably definitely gonna happen. But yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here with me today. It means so much to me. I am super excited to be sharing my book with you guys. Like 5 years in the making for this bad boy. Like, I don't even know. It has definitely like dream come true territory up in here. and Easter's coming and my birthday is coming, and it's a very exciting month for me. And yeah, anyway, as I just continue to ramble on over here. I think I've mentioned everything. Everything's linked below, guys. Check them out. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I can answer them in future streams. I do live streams on Mondays at 11 Eastern Standard Time if you want to write with me and hang out with me and get to know me. I'm also a member of a couple Discords. That is another way to get in touch with me if you're interested in chatting or collaborating or whatevering. Like, chat me up. That's what I'm here for. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. And I will hopefully see you guys all next time. Bye.